And remember this week, a special version of Soccer Matters moving to Wednesday night because you got Texas men's basketball tonight with a 7:30 tip. We'll keep you updated on the U.S. and Wales when they get started at 1. All right, coming up, it is the crap bag. I had a couple things I wanted to talk about, but then somebody texted in, Zay, don't forget to get on Chad's Aggies today. LOL. We'll find out what Zay wants to say about my Aggies. That's coming up. Joe Cook, Inside Texas on 3.com. He was at the press conference today. We'll get his thoughts on the Longhorns' incredible performance against Kansas. That is all coming up. Stay with us. A lot to get to on the Horn. All right, this does not sound like a Wahlberg, brother. Does sound like we're going back a ways. Wow. Touch too much.
Correct.
Probably the title there.
We're going back a little bit.
We really are. I don't know for sure though. Who is it?
The Arrows.
Oh, yeah, no, I wasn't coming up with that. If you knew that, shout out to you. The Arrows getting us started, helping us get started along with New Kids on the Block today. Yes, arrows all pointing up for Texas and the Cowboys and a lot of other teams after the weekend. Longhorns win 55-14. Cowboys win 40-3. And just smacked the Vikings around yesterday. Lots of positivity with those two fan bases. But again, how much can you really take from it? How much of that was real? That's what we'll be trying to figure out this week. Joe Cook of Inside Texas coming up at 1:05. Remember, 11 a.m. kick for Texas Baylor, and then it's a 7 a.m. start down on Bevo Boulevard. Weather's actually supposed to be pretty good on Saturday from what we're seeing, Zay. Like 60s, like maybe highs in the 60s that day. So
that's good. That should get more fans to go out and fill up DKR.
Yeah, cool temperatures. You'll need a layer or two, but I don't think it's going to be crazy. I don't see rain. We'll keep track of it during the week, but I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm nervous about. You just never know with these games during the break. It's a Friday game. It's early. So
do the students care?
Yeah, do the students
even care? Are they going to show?
Yeah, I mean, and I would say this might be the last time you'll see, well, this probably will be the last time you see Bijan Robinson play with the performance he had against Kansas. I would want my tickets.
It could be the last time he puts that uniform on, depending on everything else. Because if Kansas State goes ahead and wins and they go play TCU, he doesn't get to play in the Big 12 title game. And then if Texas ends up in a bowl game that you kind of understand where they're going to end up, Bijan's going to have a business decision to make.
Yeah.
And
I could really see him playing in that and saying, hey, this was my last go, but just knowing the running back value in the National Football League, I would understand if he didn't. And it would be wise if he didn't.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's already been affected a little bit, and then does he want to? He wouldn't want to, risk affecting it more, maybe. So we've got all that to deal with this week. There's also plenty of basketball going on as both Texas basketball teams crank it up. Men's team tonight, 7:30 tip. Women's team's having a rough time in the Bahamas. They've lost both of the first two games, and now, of course, Rory Harmon's been out.
Rory, we need you.
Yes, Rory Harmon has been out. That's been a little tough. They play Rutgers tonight. You remember you're guaranteed 3 games in the Bahamas to get going in the early part of the season. 6:30 tonight on The Bat, 6:15 pregame on 105.3 The Bat if you want to check out the women's game. All right, let's get into the crap bag here. Apparently there's a discussion to have about my Aggies. I didn't realize. Here we go. Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Someone texted, Zay, don't forget to get on Chad's Aggies today, LOL. Apparently this morning, Zay, you said you needed to talk to me about my Aggies?
Yeah, like y'all just keep doing things that are just so questionable. I mean, come on, the cannon in the face of the players, the UMass guys, that's classless.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. It was. It's a word I use a lot to describe my feelings towards the Aggies that most Aggies don't use, and it's embarrassing. I've been embarrassed to be an Aggie many a times, and that was one of them. I tweeted out about it. I hated seeing it on multiple levels. I hated it on the disrespect level, but then I also hated it on the, it's a canon level. There's a certain amount of like blatant disregard for firearm safety, if you will. It's not a firearm, but it's, weaponry. If you're going to be a school that's connected to military like that, and you're going to have a cannon, and by the way, that's a very powerful cannon. A&M prides itself, you'll be shocked, on having a more powerful cannon than like everybody. That's a bigger cannon than Smokey. It's a more powerful cannon than Smokey. And the Aggies are proud to tell you that. But if you're going to do it that way, you have to show that respect. I did hear a story that the UMass players were warned that the cannon was down there, and they still went into the corner of the end zone. To that, I would say, I don't care. I don't care about that part. If a 12-year-old went to the corner of that end zone, would you have fired the cannon? If it was a woman, would you have fired the cannon? If it was a family, would you have fired the cannon? If it was your AD, would you have fired the cannon and just said, well, you were warned. Boom. Go listen to the video, too. That's the extra sad part. That voice that says, I got it, man. That was awesome. No, it wasn't. That wasn't awesome. It was extremely disrespectful. You're playing a team that is a lesser team, and it's that pillow game we talk about. They're from a part of the country that's not exactly into this level of football atmosphere, and you are welcoming them in, and that's how you choose to do it.
What you mean, Chad? The attendance that y'all had over there at Kyle Field, they're definitely used to that at UMass. That's probably their capacity.
Well, now let's remember, to be realistic about that part, it was, high 30s, low 40s, and raining all day, and it hailed at halftime.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it hailed at halftime, and so some people right around half decided, you know what, peace.
Yeah.
I think I'm out. So yes, in the second half, there were some empty stands there, including the dudes doing the relay race or whatever. What is it about guys in college? What is it about guys in college taking off their shirts in freezing temperatures? Why do we do that? Why does our version of the human species do that?
The booze.
Is that it?
The liquor.
Okay.
Just makes your mind do crazy things.
Dude, it's nuts.
Not only did y'all have that going on,
Mhm.
but we might have figured out who the Aggies got their weed from in that South Carolina speculation incident.
Uh-huh.
Because offensive lineman P.J. Williams, who was arrested in that South Carolina whatever
He was
incident.
suspended. One of the guys suspended.
Not
yeah.
Sorry, not suspended. Suspended then.
Yeah.
Arrested now
Yes.
because he had 4 to 5 ounces / 5 pounds of the chronic.
See, that's the range,
how's the
apparently.
range?
Yeah, the range.
From 4 to 5 ounces.
Possession of marijuana between 4 ounces and 5 pounds in size. Zay, I'm not a pot expert. That sounds like a big range.
Yeah.
My man's in a big range here.
Yeah, the pounds, that's like Snoop and Willie hanging out for a whole week.
I hope he doesn't have pounds of weed. So this is a guy that's been suspended. So he's been indefinitely suspended. So if I'm reading it correctly, he was not a part of the game on Saturday,
No.
but he gets arrested on Saturday. I guess he's still in College Station. I would assume still has the scholarship, still going to classes, and I guess still smoking.
Yeah, at that
or
point.
moving
Yeah,
the
at that
product.
point,
One
when
way
you
or the other.
got that much, you're slanging that stuff. Like, he's out
Okay.
here. He's out here slanging that stuff. And
You think he's a source?
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, what's he got to do? There's nothing to do in College Station, so I kind of feel for him, but also, it's a dumb move. It's a dumb move.
It's not good.
Yeah.
No, it's not good.
Now, they probably caught him at Lane's ordering 30 chicken tenders, and they're like, this is suspicious.
Yeah. It's tough. That is tough.
I feel him. Lane's is my spot, too.
That is tough. By the way, shout out to the texter. Weather on Saturday doesn't matter. The game's on Friday. You're right. If I said Saturday, that's my bad. Friday's weather looks to be all right in the mid-60s. Thank
Easy
you.
mistake.
Thank you for that OCD mistake. Yes, we'll try to get that right throughout the week. Everybody don't show up on Saturday. You will be a day late for all of that. Yes, definitely not proud of my Aggies that are manning the cannon. I was out at game day when TCU was in town, and I watched the guys fire Smokey off and just what has to happen for them to actually fire that cannon. There's just a lot that has to go on. And A&M has now closed their stadium in all the way around. And again, that thing is so loud. And if you don't know what's going off, it scares Aggies. It scares us when it goes off sometimes because we don't know the schedule of when things are going off. To do that to a couple of, and there were 2 guys in the corner, but if you see right around the goal line, there's another 3, 4, 5 UMass players. You couldn't have waited. You couldn't have taken a breath. Take a beat. Calm down, Army, would you? Please. This is why. You want to know? All my brothers and sisters, you want to know why they keep telling the jokes? You know why they keep doing it? Is we keep giving them that.
Yeah, make it too easy.
We keep giving them the ammo. And the one thing and this is what I tweeted, Zay, I've never understood it. My people want respect so much, and they never give it. Not never. That's not fair. Sometimes in key moments, they will not give respect, yet they expect it. I don't know why. Isn't that what we need to be teaching? That's what we teach kids, right? Don't expect to get respected unless you are respectful. That's usually the way that works.
For sure.
Aggies don't always act that way. It's weird. But I'm extra disappointed because these are the guys that are charged with firing a cannon at a game. And you did it that haphazardly. You did it like a bunch of frat guys. You did it like just a bunch of I don't care teenagers. That pissed me off.
Yep. Zero class. And if I had my son, they would not be enrolled in that university.
You got to be more.
Sorry.
You got to be more respectful, flat out. No, I understand. I understand why people are mad. I understand why people are retweeting. Sometimes my people just flat out ask for it. All right, 1 o'clock hour coming up. Let's talk to Joe Cook, Inside Texas, on3.com. Big day in Lawrence. Longhorns roll. Now they get ready for Baylor. Does Joe trust that defense enough to say they'll beat Baylor? We'll find out on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Specs, wine, spirits, and finer foods. They got me stocked up for a little holiday cheer over the weekend. They can do the same thing for you. They've been doing it since 1962. They are your Texas family-owned destination for all the selection and all the savings that you're looking for. My dad and niece came in to visit this weekend, and yes, they are beer drinkers, and we had a little beer, and I stocked up at Specs recently. They're the 4-time National Retailer of the Year, so if you're looking for those great craft beers, they are your place. Looking for wine or spirits, they are your place for that too. How about the holiday cocktail that you're trying to make for the party? You want to get it just right? Get insider info on seasonal releases, on certain, get the recipes just right, maybe new ideas, something you haven't thought of. You can also order online for same-day delivery. Go to specsonline.com if you're just too busy and you can't get out to one of those great locations. Now, if you can go hit some of the famous locations like that Arbor Walk location. Get on out there for that one. You can also get over to the Brody Lane location. Yes, that's another one. Brody Lane. I'll hit the one up in Round Rock. I'll hit the one out in Elgin, but the Brody Lane and Arbor Walk, they specialize in those homemade pecan pies, the gourmet party trays, and all that stuff you'll want for the holidays. So visit specsonline.com for those big savings on all the fall cravings. Remember, no matter what the event, no matter what you're planning, the fun starts at Specs. Oh, yes. Let's go hour number 2 on a Monday. I do appreciate the people keeping me honest. Chad and Zay on a Monday. I'm Chad Hastings. Isaiah Collier is here. Isaiah did not mess up the weather thing. I might have been peaking at Saturday and being glad that it was mostly sunny and mid-60s. Friday, Longhorns Baylor, yeah, that is high of 59. And I am seeing occasional rain showers in the morning. Chance of rain 50% early, chance of rain 40% later on at night. So, yeah, that's going to be a bring the rain gear and high 50s. My bad. That's my bad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just trained to look at Saturdays, and I messed it up. That's my bad.
Don't like that for the fans as far as football goes. Hopefully that will give Steve Sarkisian motivation to run the football just like you did in Lawrence.
Yeah, different kind of sloppy. Like this past Saturday was just kind of those abrasive winds and cold and nasty, but you didn't have the precipitation. This one's not going to be near as cold, but you may end up with some of that precipitation to deal with. And I would say, yeah, just go ahead and keep handing Bijan the ball. We've talked about that. 55-14. Of course, Cowboys win as well and win big as well. 40-3. Maybe not as effective running the ball, but they did carry it 40 times. Longhorns put 57 carries on the board, if I am reading that stat sheet correct. All right, let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. He was over at the press conference today where it certainly was a good mood, and why not after the double nickel put up on Kansas. It's Joe Cook, Inside Texas, on3.com. Joe, how's it going?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for the time, as always. Heard, we were listening to it on this end, heard laughing, sound like a lot of smiling going on, good vibes, and it kind of made sense after what we saw Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how you could be mad after a 55-14 win on the road in this conference, especially considering the year that this team has had on the road and this program's had on the road. But, good spirits. It's a holiday week, and everybody's kind of looking forward to seeing what Texas can do on Friday and if they can put some pressure that hasn't been seen in a while on that Sunflower Showdown between Kansas and Kansas State.
Joe, how is this weekend different? Because it's a short week, so that means this coaching staff is Steve Sarkisian. They gotta kind of push some things up. How is this different from normal weeks?
Yeah, we didn't really get I'm trying to think back to Steve Sarkisian's press conference after the game on Saturday, and if he ever hinted at anything. I think they had, by doing a 12 p.m., I think that shows that they had practice, but it was probably pretty light. So I think, honestly, I don't know the exact answer. If I were running things, I would probably take it a little bit easier on one of these practice days, considering, it is a short week. I think their off day was yesterday, but I'm not exactly sure. But, this team's gone through 11 weeks or however many weeks it's been since August 3rd with 1 week of break. It's a holiday week. And so I don't think you ease the reins at all, but I think you maybe shorten the race a little bit as far as practice goes ahead of facing a Baylor team that really likes to run the football.
Yeah, and Joe, that kind of brings me to my big question of the week, which is, do you trust this defense? When they left Stillwater, there was evidence that maybe you couldn't. They did blow that lead. They were part of blowing that lead. But then they go to Manhattan. They made plays when they needed to. They lose to TCU, but it certainly was not the defense's fault. And then we know what happens in Lawrence. So for you today, you cover them for your job. You root for them as a fan. Can you trust this defense against Baylor?
I think so. Teams that try to run the football against Texas, aside from Kendra Miller's long run and, the Jace McClellan long run against Alabama, teams just have not had success running the football. Now with that Oklahoma State game you're talking about, that defense was on the field for 99 or 100 plays. In that Texas Tech game, they're on the field for 100 plays in overtime and in the September heat. So there's some extenuating circumstances there, but I think elsewhere, you can really trust this defense, and especially against the run. That's the basis of Jeff Grimes' offensive system, is that outside run, and Texas has done a good job of fitting those of late. And making sure that they don't go very far. And, I bet this is a game that the Longhorns really try to put pressure on Blake Shapen, make him go and win that game. They haven't, sometimes he's been able to step up and rise to the occasion. Other times it hasn't been his day. So I think that's a game that they really try to make Blake Shapen do everything or do as much as he can to make them win, and especially when you consider the elements that are coming down. So I do think you can trust the defense. And while that has to do with the scheme and understanding it in a second year under Pete Kwiatkowski, a lot of that has to do with the players. You're getting an unbelievable play from your interior defensive linemen. You've got Barron Sorrell having a little bit of a breakout year, and then your linebackers are probably arguably two of the best in the conference. So I think you trust them. I think you go that route and, try to play a grinded out game against the team in Baylor who has to prove that they can do that against this type of defense.
Joe, with everything that could go down on Friday, it might be the last time we see number 5 take the field, and the performance that he had at Kansas just really makes you miss the guy and missed what he could have been. I say could have been because last week he only got 12 rushing attempts for 29 yards. Do you think that Steve Sarkisian didn't utilize him the way that he should have throughout the whole season while giving him a lot of these carries against Kansas this past week?
No, I think the TCU game plan to I guess abandon the run against that style of defense. Even Steve Sarkisian away in the offseason realized against that style of defense, you just got to be patient. And moving away from the run and going to the pass, that was impatient. So I think that has a little bit more to do with Steve Sarkisian. But as far as Bijan goes, I don't think there's any sense of what could have been or anything like that. Like when you get whatever it was, 800-yard year in 10 games while splitting carries, and then you go ahead and get a 1,000-yard year in 10 games as the lead back, and you have a season like he's had so far. Of course, you would wish that the wins would come through more. I think any Texas fan would, obviously, but I don't think you can. I think that may be the only regret with regards to Bijan Robinson is that he wasn't part of the team that won more games, because the names he's put himself with, you go look at that record book right now and he's right around Jamal Charles. He won't reach Earl Campbell, but he's around Chris Gilbert, Vince Young, and, he's that quality of player. He is not surrounded with a lot of superstars like some of those other teams were that were competing and winning national championships, but he would not be any stranger to those teams if he were on them. And I think this week you not only are extremely thankful for number 5, but you're also extremely thankful for number 2 as well, no matter what he can give you on Saturday with Roschon Johnson. I think the question will obviously be asked, and it was asked with Steve Sarkisian. It'll probably be asked with Bijan Robinson when we get him here in a little while. I assume, will this be your last game? And credit to both. They've made sure to be very mum on that issue, and, that's not where they're going to talk about. But I think, Bijan, I would be shocked if pretty much everybody in Bijan's circle, both at Texas and in his family circle, aren't already ready to start his professional career, as he should. I don't think a decision's been made, but I think that if there is a decision, there's one that's plainly obvious. Even though I'm sure Texas would love to have him back next year, I think he should be looking out for his individual and looking out for himself, and go ahead and maybe get a Longhorn in the first round for the first time in a good while.
Joe, in terms of how this season's going to end, I know a lot of people, their early predictions, somewhere in that, 9-3, 8-4 area. I know with the early injury stories, maybe people change their prediction a little bit, but I feel like now we're right in the area some people thought we would be. How much different for you would 8-4 feel than if they slip against Baylor and it comes out 7-5? Just how much does Sark have to gain on Friday?
I think that's a big amount, because if you look at the way it's constructed, I think a lot of people at the beginning of the year despite high hopes, probably thought that the Bama game was going to be a loss, and it turned out to be a 1-point loss, but a loss nonetheless. So that gives you a 2-1 non-conference schedule. If you go 8-4, then that means you go 6-3 in the Big 12. That means you win most of your Big 12 games, and that's quality. Of course, you lose to probably the best team in the conference, and then slip up a couple times. But then you beat a top 15 team, and you trounce your rival, and you also trounce a team that's just up and down, and you shit out talent. So if you go 6-3 and win this game, then you're feeling like, okay, that's sustainable progress. You're winning some games you should. You have your slip ups, but that's year 2 stuff, and you show a lot of progress with in the offensive system with multiple quarterbacks. If you lose this game on Saturday, then you're 5-4 and you're 7-5 overall. Of course, it's a winning season, but it's probably not the improvement that a lot of fans in the program and probably Steve Sarkisian himself would have wanted to see. Granted, it's still kind of in that ballpark of what you expected, but 8-4 does look a lot better when you're just looking at the numbers and 7-5. That's 66%, 67% winning 2/3 of your games. I know Texas fans aspire for more and rightfully should in the coming years, but that's still a good mark. And again, that 6-3 mark in conference is the one that's important to show that you have been able to, fare better than a lot of the teams in your league. So this is an important one. If you're going into that, there's going to be an official visit weekend or a visit weekend sometime in December right before signing day. If you're able to show these recruits, hey, we just went 8-4, and we were 1 point, and all our losses were these, extremely close 1-possession games. We're right there. That's a lot different than, hey, we were 7-5, but all our losses were all these extremely close 1-possession games, because Texas, recruits have been seeing that for a good while from Texas. So this is an important one. You hope that, like I mentioned earlier, that the Jayhawks can follow through for you, but even if they don't, 8-4 does look a lot better than 7-5 in year 2 under Steve Sarkisian.
Joe, you talked about being confident in this defense going into Baylor, and a reason why I'm also confident is guys like Jahdae Barron, who's been terrific, especially as of late. I think the Central Texas product's finally figuring it out, and he's definitely relied upon in this Pete Kwiatkowski defense. What have you seen of Jahdae Barron this season?
I mean, not only is he versatile, he plays that nickel position. He was a couple better hands away from having a pick six on one of the first plays of the game against Kansas. But he allows Texas to do a lot with their defense. He can go in and just play corner, straight up cornerback, and allow Texas to get some other playmakers on the field. It's been Jalen Gilbo before his injury. And when an opposing offense is going to go heavy set, it allows Maurice Blackwell or even some other guys to get on the field. So he allows for versatility. He knows where to be. That's an important aspect of that position. It's probably the most challenging on the defense because you are a defensive back that is likely stressed more than anybody else on the field in having to not only defend against wide receivers who these days are 5'11", 190 and running all over the place in space. Oh yeah, and you also have to defend against the run game. And here comes a 6'3", 240-pound tight end trying to bear down on you and block for a 5'10", 200-pound back. So that position is so challenging, and he's been able to do so well throughout the course of this season. And so he's a key cog to that Texas defense. He helps people get into the right spot. He bridges a little bit between the linebackers and the safeties and other defensive backs about where to be and otherwise. And he delivers quality play himself. He's a good tackler. He's good at everything. And if it weren't for I think him wanting to get out of his national letter of intent with Baylor a few years ago, he's suiting up in green and gold this weekend. So that was a big switch over the course of that off season for Texas, and it's proven to be extremely valuable for the Longhorn defense these past 2 years and this year especially.
That's a good point. Joe, before we let you go, the fans finally got me looking at the right day for the weather, and Friday does have maybe a little sloppiness to it in the morning. Maybe it's rain in the 50s, maybe some wind blowing. So are you picking Texas to win this game against Baylor, and do you think they're going to do it the same way they beat Kansas?
Yeah, I think I think Texas is the pick this week. I think the opening line was around a touchdown, and I don't know how much it's changed since then. But I think Texas, they tend to do all right with a good amount to play for. It's this whole year has been wait and see on a week by week basis, and I think it's more the same for a lot of fans. But I do pick Texas, and I think that's the strategy to do it is ride number 5. If number 2 is limited in some sense, well, you just got a great showing out of Jonathan Brooks to give you some confidence that he can do some of the similar things in that run game that the first 2 guys can as well. And I think you have found the right thing to do with Quinn Ewers at this stage in his career. I do think Quinn Ewers is going to be spectacular eventually. Myself included, probably laid a little bit too heavy expectations on him, especially coming back from injury. But I think the role that he was given on Saturday against Kansas was the right one for him at this stage in his career. He even admitted, I got to do if I'm going to be a game manager, if that's what I'm asked to do, then I got to manage the game as best as I possibly can. And I thought he did that well. He had a lot of good throws. I think he had one bad throw, and that's it. Just one bad throw, which you can kind of expect from a true freshman. But that's all to say, this is going to be, or a redshirt freshman, but this is going to be another run-oriented game. The offensive line needs to deliver like they did against Kansas. Siaki Ika, you're going to see number 62 trying to make life difficult for Jake Majors out there, and that's going to be an important guy to block in most of this, throughout this contest. So if Texas wins those battles against him, probably throw some double teams on him, then it'll be easier for Texas to win, and I think that's what's going to happen this weekend, this Friday.
That is Joe Cook, Inside Texas on 3.com. Check out at Joseph Cook 89 on Twitter if you're getting your follows together. Joe, we appreciate it, man. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the game. Stay dry, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Good stuff as always. Every Monday with Joe, and he's mentioned Texas. It started as a touchdown line. It's gone up to 8.5. So money coming in on the Longhorns. People believing in Texas.
I don't like that at all.
One weather thing I'm looking at is now saying in the 50s and rain. This one is saying like mid 50s and partly cloudy. We'll keep checking on that throughout the week once we can get a look at some hourly stuff to let you know what you'll be dealing with if you are headed over to DKR. Thanks to Joe for his time. Coming up, we'll get you the Flex 30 segment, and we'll go back-to-back guests. Our man Zach Lucero from the Flex crew was following that Dripping Springs volleyball team. Flex has been following volleyball as well as football and all the other sports. Dripping Springs volleyball won state. Zach will tell you that story coming up and where you can get more interviews. Plus, we got big football games coming up. I need to know from Zach, is that football game I've been looking forward to going to happen? We're just one win away for each team from getting there. We'll hit that in the Flex segment next on The Horn. All right, let's talk a little AV consultations. We saw our guy Tom McKay today. He came in to cut some holiday spots. We're told you might want to be watching out for those holiday spots. They are always memorable when Tom comes in to cut new spots. And what also is memorable is the way you are treated when you're a customer with AV consultations. Tom's going to give you that personal touch. That's exactly what he's done since all the way back in the 80s. They've been doing this locally owned and operated since the late 80s. He prides himself on communicating with each and every customer. So you are going to get that personal touch, and you are going to he's going to make sure that you are satisfied before they are done. If you're looking for that new TV room, the movie room you've always wanted, maybe it's different TVs. It's an upgraded situation. Maybe you want to add screens. They will do all of that for you. And remember, let them take care of all of it. Don't go out and try to hit a big box store and think you can figure it all out. They've got the hardest to find smart TVs. They've got all that Sonos audio equipment, and they're not raising prices like all the others. So let them handle it stem to stern. You will be satisfied. Audio visual consultations, 255-8678, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Oh, wow. All right. This one always makes me happy. Every single time. I'm going to get the artist wrong, possibly. So this is Axel F. from Beverly Hills Cop. Who did this?
I mean, somebody had to make it, but
No, I know. Somebody had to make it, and it's not.
I don't have it. So whatever you guess, I don't know if you're going to be right or wrong.
Oh, okay. Because back in the day, like the Miami Vice stuff and some of those other cool themes, that was like Jan Hammer, I think. But I don't think Jan Hammer did Axel F. So if anybody knows who did Axel F., let us know. So you don't have it in front of you?
No.
All right. See, I'm going to have to look.
Harold Faltermeyer.
I'm going to have to look. Harold Faltermeyer. There it is.
Thank you, Dave.
There it is. Dave leaned in. Yep. I knew I wasn't going to be able to. There it is. It is Harold Faltermeyer. Well done. Well done. Harold Faltermeyer with Axel F. Oh, that makes me happy. If you haven't seen the original Beverly Hills Cop, go check it out. I would recommend the sequel. Beverly Hills Cop 2 does not get enough love. Beverly Hills Cop 3, turn and run
Brutal.
as far away from it as you can. Zay, Beverly Hills Cop 3 or the Coming to America sequel. Which one's worse?
Oh, wow.
It's a battle for me
Yeah.
because they're both terrible.
Huh. I mean, if there was like a deleted scene that was too dark for TV where Eddie would have just drowned somebody in the water park, then I would say Beverly Hills Cop 3, but I don't think that happened. I'm going to go with Coming to America.
You think that one's worse?
I think it's better.
Better. Okay, I agree with you.
I think
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop 3 way worse.
Beverly Hills Cop 3.
The
One of
water
the
park thing, that's just
and one of the reasons it's so terrible is how they treat that song. The way they work the Axel F theme into Beverly Hills Cop 3 is so insulting to the franchise, to Eddie, to everything. Apparently, he got forced into making that movie. It's wretched. That is a terrible movie. Don't watch it. 1 and 2 are very good, though. All right, so Axel F cranking up on a Monday. Thanks to Joe Cook for his time. We got another guest coming up. Let's get into the flex segment. We got state champs to talk about. Come on. Yes, indeed. State championship for the Dripping Springs volleyball team. And our man Zach Lucero was there and covered it for Flex. If you haven't checked out Flex ATX at FlexATX, FLXATX.com. And I will tweet out the article that they put out, including Zach's videos with the coach and the players. But we wanted to talk to Zach about it. Zach, an incredible run for this Dripping Springs team, and they finished it off big time.
Yeah, they did, Chad. I mean, and just the fashion that they did it. I mean, this team didn't even win the district championship. So an underdog in pretty much every match that they were in the latter half of the playoff run. They beat Lake Travis to go to the state tournament. They were underdogs against the Woodlands, beat the Woodlands in the semifinal, and they were an underdog against this Katie Tompkins team that they played in the final, and they swept them. So just kind of a team of destiny, storybook season, hot at the right time type of moment for those guys.
Yeah, it's an incredible run, and again, you got a chance to interview the coach. I watched your interview with Michael Kane after the game, and they sweep Tompkins in the end. So not much drama, I guess, in that final. They pretty much mowed their way through the championship match.
I mean, there was a couple times where the score was a little close. I think one of the sets ended up going like 26-24, but. They always say like it was closer than the scoreboard says.
Right.
This was the opposite of that. It never really felt like Dripping Springs was not in control of this game. Dripping Springs has two girls. One of them, who I'm sure we're going to talk about in just a little bit, Mackenzie Plante, who's a finalist right now for All Flex volleyball list. She's a senior committed to Tennessee. She ended up winning MVP of the match. And then the girl that plays opposite her, the other outside hitter, is a freshman, a 6'4" freshman named Henley Anderson. And Chad, I genuinely think she's going to be probably the biggest volleyball recruit that we've had in the Austin area in a really, really long time.
Yeah, Zach, what Dripping Springs did was special. I mean, they've always been a juggernaut powerhouse at the volleyball sport. And, with them moving up to 6A, you would think they would have a fall back. I mean, you just said they didn't win their district. That's pretty remarkable to not win your district, but still have the belief to make a run and end up winning state.
In volleyball, it's kind of like one of those things, like with basketball, where whether you're 5A or 6A in tournament play, you're playing everybody. So even when Dripping Springs was in 5A, they were still regarded as one of the better volleyball teams in the area, kind of pound for pound. So they were playing the Lake Travises and the Vandergrifts as a 5A team. So when they moved up, everyone kind of knew what they had. They knew they had the pieces. And like you said, you don't win district. You're still kind of in the shadow of the Lake Travis, you could say, in that district. And but, I mean, you just get hot at the right time. And that's the cool thing about that tournament format that we're seeing now with the football as well, for the football playoffs, is you can just be hot at the right time. And as long as you're in the playoffs and you end up getting hot, you have a chance to go all the way.
Talking flex with Zach Lucero. He was there when Dripping Springs won state in volleyball. Zach, you mentioned Mackenzie Plante. She's going to Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. Tell us what's so important about her. She ended up as tournament MVP, correct?
Yeah, she got MVP for that match. That's voted by the media or however it goes there. But, I mean, she was just dominant. She's a girl that's been a factor. I mean, we've interviewed her in the studio. We interviewed her at Waterloo in the offseason. Just a girl that's really about flex, about her team, who plays for the club organization that's run by her head coach. So, I mean, she's just all volleyball all the time. I think she's like one of the top 150 players in the nation. And she's like 6'1", 6'2", going to Tennessee. I mean, it's a big-time player. And it really seemed in that match that her and Henley were head and shoulders above anyone else on the court at that moment.
Yeah, so impressive. The Vols will be glad to have her. Let's talk about Liberty Hill, who came up short against Lake Creek. They had a hell of a season, getting all the way to the Final Four. Let's talk about this Liberty Hill volleyball team a little bit. Yeah,
I'm glad you bring them up. Liberty Hill, kind of the same kind of boat as Dripping Springs. I mean, a school that, I mean, in that district, it's Rouse. Rouse is the name that everybody talks about for volleyball, and Dripping Springs beat Rouse in that regional final to get to the state tournament. Kind of a little bit of an upset, and then unfortunately they get swept in the semifinal, but made it all the way to Garland. You can even say that school is a little bit like maybe a year too early, because they have a girl named Gigi Mason that's probably going to be another big-time recruit, a right-side hitter for them. So really a cool, awesome season for Liberty Hill. And you talk about schools that are maybe playing up. This is a school that was just in 4A not too long ago. They don't have 5A, D1, and D2 in volleyball, so they're just in 5A with the powerhouses like Rouse and Cedar Park and things like that. So a great season, a great building block for Liberty Hill to probably be in conversation with the Lake Travises, the Rouses, the Dripping Springs as a true volleyball powerhouse for the next few years here in Austin.
Again, if you want to check out FLXATX.com, you can check out the article there. I just retweeted it at C Hastings 1049, of course, at FLXATX as well. You can check out Zach's interview with the head coach, with Mackenzie as well. You can see the highlight of them advancing in the semifinal round and the moment that they won state. All right, Zach, I got one football question for you before we let you go, because all my dreams are riding on teams at the Alamo Dome this weekend, Dripping Springs and Vandergrift. What are the chances that Dripping Springs and Vandergrift get it done this week and play each other in the quarterfinals?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we're like a game away from Vandergrift, Dripping Springs Part 3 and Lake Travis Westlake Part 2. It's one of those things you never want to – coaches hate calling it Valley Week or playing these down south teams. They never want to call it that because you never want to overlook an opponent. But, I mean, if all the teams can handle their business, it sounds like you and Zay are going to be making a road trip to wherever Dripping Springs and Vandergrift play each other.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I hope they get it done. One. Dripping Springs is going to, by the way, if you want to spend a whole day, Alamo Dome, 11 a.m. on Friday is the Drip game, and then Vandergrift and Harlan. We'll have it for you on 101.9 and AM 1260. Of course, that's a 7:30 kick at the Alamo Dome with Vandergrift and Harlan. That is Zach Lucero. He and Snoop and the crew keep you updated like nobody else when it comes to high school sports. Zach, great coverage on the volleyball as always, and you guys are doing an amazing job in football. Enjoy the next round of the playoffs, man. Thanks for the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you guys as always.
Good,
Thanks, Zach.
good stuff, man. That Dripping Springs team finished it off on the volleyball side, and of course Austin Novosad and the football team trying to do the same thing. Dripping Springs, a lot of energy out there right now. Congrats to all the teams that have advanced. We got Lake Travis and Vandergrift still alive. Lake Travis and Brennan will play at 6 o'clock on Friday, so we're going to get that flex pregame cranked up about 5 o'clock. 5:45 pregame with Mark and Bucky and Stu and the crew, and then 6 o'clock they are going to kick. They're at Canyon High School down there in New Braunfels, in case you didn't know, and then Alamo Dome for you Vandegrift fans that are following the Vipers. We do the flex segment every day at about 1:30. Coming up at 2, we'll dig back into the Longhorns and the Cowboys, and if you love both of those teams, why not? It was an incredible weekend for both. We're just trying to figure out how much you take from that because they both certainly look great. Up next, it's Where Are We At in Society. Zay is going to let us know. Hope you're having a good Monday, getting all your Thanksgiving plans together. Take us with you wherever you're going. It is wet and cold out there, so please be careful. It's the Horn. I love the interlude. The little bass interlude. Let everybody rest a second, and then just right back at it. Man. Some super intense stuff. Man, there's a lot of things I could guess. I'm not an expert on this level of metal, but I did see a band with Slayer that day at Coda that kind of sounded like this. I'll say Behemoth. It's kind of what they remind me of. Who is it?
Cannibal's Corpse.
Ah, Cannibal Corpse. Yes. One of the nicest names anyone has ever come up with for a band. If you're going to call your band Cannibal Corpse, this is what you need to sound like.
Yeah, this
Right?
makes sense.
I mean,
This makes sense.
you don't need to be doing what Casey Musgraves is doing and then call yourself Cannibal Corpse, right?
I dig this.
It's not going to work. Oh, they get after it.
Yeah.
On a technical level, I respect that music so much because the idea of getting up on a stage on a tour and doing that night in and night out is crazy to me. It's insane. That's too far. Just officially, that is too far for me.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence that metal guys don't make it past 50 very often. To amp yourself up, to put yourself through that night in, night out,
Right.
the drugs you got to be taking, come on.
Well, to me, sometimes with that, it may be at such a level where, like, if I'm the drummer of that band, I don't know if I can take drugs. I got to be in tip-top shape. I got to be worried about every inch. I mean, I got to be taking care of myself, I would assume, at some point.
Taking care of yourself
To try to be able to do that every night?
as a rock and roller.
Now, I mean, I don't know. Trust me, I understand what you're saying. I think some of them probably, or at least hopefully, to be able to do it a long time. Now, if you're going to do it for just one tour and be done, then yeah, probably you're just partying the whole time.
Yeah, I'm sure Gene Simmons was eating kale after every performance.
Gene Simmons ain't never played that fast a day in his life. A day in his life. And that's actually a weird example because there's supposedly, Gene had been pretty clean the whole time.
What?
Yeah, Gene apparently didn't drink like during, I don't know when he stopped drinking. I read part of the biography. I don't know that I finished it, but, or maybe it's just been a while. At some point, he and Paul both just kind of got off of alcohol and stuff and never wasn't a part of it.
Good for them.
Yeah, they were a weird, they're a strange band in a lot of ways, but a legendary band. They've been going a long time. Maybe that's why they've been going a long time. And just now kind of wrapping it up. All right, so Cannibal Corpse joining the lineup. Cannibal Corpse and Axel F in the same show. That is unique. Plus, New Kids on the Block started us, and then we had the Arrows. Zay, as always, bringing all kinds of different music. Before we get to where we at in society, USA has scored a goal. How about that? Shout out to my man Glenn Davis for help on the pronunciation. Timothy Weah is the man who scored the goal. The U.S. team also had a couple of yellow cards in the first 30 minutes or so, but at the 36th minute, Weah gets the goal. It is 1-0 U.S. They are in extra time in the first half, so just about to hit halftime. U.S. up 1-0. We will keep you updated.
That's what I'm talking about. It's our year.
There you go. That's it. All right, let's go where we at in society with Zay. All right, Zay, do I have anything I need to look at on Twitter?
Yeah. Check it out.
All
Check
right.
those DMs out, man.
Here we go.
All right, so this is an interesting story. It happened this weekend, NBA game. The Milwaukee Bucks took on the Philadelphia 76ers. The Bucks lose this game, and Giannis Antetokounmpo went 4 for 15 from the free throw line. So, you know, a lot of these guys after games, if they have bad games, they'll get some more work in, you know, at the arena, which is kind of like, I mean, guys are kind of setting stuff up and taking stuff down and preparing for what's next. Sometimes there's a concert the next night. Sometimes there's just different events. So these people, they got to be efficient. So I'm kind of hit or miss on guys trying to get work in after games. I mean, if it's that bad, then go to the practice facility that's most likely connected to the arena. Sometimes it's not, so I get it. But in this situation, Giannis was trying to get the work in. Montrezl Harrell, in the video you don't see, but this video is out there. Montrezl Harrell, who plays for the Sixers, he has a routine after the game. After every home game, no matter win or lose, he gets his work in. So he saw Giannis and was like, yo, bruh, this is my turn. I don't appreciate you coming out here just because you're a superstar thinking that you could come on our court.
I was going to say, this is in Philly. Let's
Philly.
make sure we're clear about that.
Let's be very specific. This is in Philadelphia. You trying to come on my court and get these shots up. No, this ain't happening. So Montrezl, he was kind of hot and told him off. Giannis was like, I don't got time for this. I'm bigger than this. I'm Giannis. You're Montrezl Harrell. I'm not even going to get to your level. So Giannis leaves, and Montrezl Harrell stole his ball, by the way. Really petty.
Stole the ball?
Yeah, stole his ball. Like, took Giannis's ball. So Giannis leaves, comes back with 2, and then this gets to the video that you're seeing now, Chad.
Okay.
He comes back with 2 balls. A guy is doing something with the rim, so there's a ladder there. Whether they're adjusting the rim, taking the rim off, taking the net off, I don't know, but they're doing something with the ladder with the rim.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis, already PO because he just got his ball taken by Montrezl Harrell, sees the guy, goes up to him with the ladder, says, I'm trying to get this work in. The guy's like, I don't give a damn. We got a job to do.
Yeah, we're doing something here.
Yeah, we got stuff going on. Like, I'm trying to get out of here. I'm not trying to be here till 2 a.m.
Yeah, dude, I got to get the shot clock down or whatever it is.
Yeah, give me a break. Giannis goes over there and throws, pushes, but the ladder gets thrown in a way, pushed over. It doesn't look good because he's the face of the NBA.
And for the record, this is like that's probably what, a 16-foot ladder at least? Maybe 20?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe 20.
Maybe?
Yeah. Something like that. But just pushes
the
ladder over, just disregards the man and his job. He has a job to do. Giannis, this isn't your home court. I think Giannis is completely in the wrong all the way around.
Yeah, I do too, and I'm a fan of his. We haven't really seen a whole lot from the Greek Freak that would sort of lean you this way, but yeah, he has that. That's some entitlement that obviously Montrezl Harrell was trying to deal with it and was dealing with it his way to say, yeah, this is my floor, and our guys might have some post-game stuff to do, but you are a Milwaukee Buck. I know you're Giannis, but you're a Milwaukee Buck, and the idea that you would be entitled to shoot on the Sixers court after a game, that's crazy.
That's just ignorant. Giannis, the way he was trying to justify it was, this is my job. I'm just trying to get better at my job.
No, your job's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Your job is done.
Get your ass on the bus. Take that bus, get your ass on the plane, go back to Milwaukee and work on your game.
That is crazy. That's goofy. That's like if you and I are in another city and we walk into somebody's radio station and go sit in there right after like they're done with the show. No, we got to get some work in. This is what we do. This is our job. Zay and I. It's like, no, man, this is not your place. What are you doing?
Yeah, and plus they're an opponent. They're like a rival in a way because it's the Eastern Conference. We might see y'all down the line. Why are we trying to help you?
Right.
You just went 4 for 15. We're glad. You went 4 for 15. We're not going to try to help you at any cost. What's also bogus, Chad, Giannis, his older brother, who also plays for the Bucks, package deal, but whatever. That's a different story for a different day.
Nah.
He's on the squad. He went up because big brother has to protect little brother. He went up to Montrezl Harrell and tried to say, hey, what's the problem? Why can't we get this work in? And Montrezl told him the same thing, but Montrezl was a little more heated at the time and said, yo, the Nassus, I'll knock your ass out. Get out of here. Stop trying to stick up for your brother. And you can find those videos out there too. So, yeah, Giannis is in the wrong. Like you said, I agree, Chad. Entitled is the perfect word for it. Like, I know you're the face of the league in a way. My wife thinks you have a sexy accent or whatever. Yeah, cool. But still, this is whack. I don't care, man. There ain't no language barrier. You speak English perfectly fine. You get that you have to get off the court. And if somebody was in Milwaukee and you wanted to kick them off the court, you have every right to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, to me, if you absolutely had to do it, then there's 2 people you need to ask some questions of, and one is Montrezl Harrell, and 2 is the guy with the ladder. Talk to Montrezl Harrell about it and say, hey, man, we're on a roadie and we're not going to be back at Milwaukee and I'm not going to be able to shoot till whenever. How much time? And he'd be like, oh, hey, come back in 10 minutes. You're fine. I'll tell him to leave the lights on.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Or give me 15 minutes. Look, I'm Giannis. Slip him a $100.
Yeah. Right. What?
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, let me get 15 minutes. Here's a $100. Leave me alone.
And because then at that point, Montrezl might go to the ladder guy for you and be like, hey, by the way, Giannis is going to go back and do a little media. He'll be back in about 10 minutes. Can you guys make sure you leave the basket up? You can take whatever shot clock down. Can you leave it up? He's going to come do some work in about 10 minutes. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, sure, fine. But you can't go. I mean, this is my parent part of me on my brain. When he goes and inadvertently, just haphazardly slides that ladder and it starts to fall, dude, there could have been somebody there.
Yeah.
There could have been somebody on the baseline. There could have been some old lady or old man. There could have been like an old man usher, right? Old like Nick. Yeah, you remember Nick? Oh, yeah, Nick's been with the Sixers for 40 years. It could have hit Nick right in the head. You're going to knock him down just so you can shoot a free throw? Come on, freak.
Yeah, go help him pick it up or something.
Can't do it.
Because he pushed it first.
And then it doesn't,
They
right.
were like, no, we're not leaving. And then clearly he gets
Yeah,
a little
it's bad.
upset, goes back, and pushes it over completely just because his jump shots broke from the free throw line.
It's bad. If I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, I'd lay a little fine on the freak. I'd make him
Fine him.
I would. I'd make him donate something to a good cause. That's not you, man. You're our face. You're our face. You are that guy. You've won a title for us. That's not how we carry ourselves. It's not what we do. And if that ladder goes and hits a kid, hits an old lady, hits an old man, hits anybody, hits a scorer, hits Montrezl Harrell, none of it looks good. You're the face of our team, and you're about to write a check to somebody to prove it. That's what I'd tell him.
Yeah.
That's bad. Yeah,
Not
I
good.
don't like it. That's a bad look for Giannis. So hopefully there's an apology coming at some point from him for that one on the Philly court. On some level, if you're going to do it on somebody else's court, I do like the fact that he thought he could do it in Philly for some reason. Of all the
terrible place to pick.
Of all the contentious, weird places, that's where you picked?
Yeah,
Philly.
Think about how tough that dude is. That
Okay.
dude probably got into a fight like a couple of weeks ago. That's working on the basketball goals.
Yeah.
Like he was all about fighting Giannis. Like he wanted that moment.
If you want to see the video, remember Isaiah is at @ain'tthat_Zay on Twitter. I retweeted it at C Hastings 1049. That's where you can find us on Twitter at the Horn ATX for the station. All right, there's where we at. We do it at 1:45 each and every day. Up next, the 2:00 hour. If you love your Longhorns and you love your Cowboys, at least for a day or so, let's just let you bask in that crazy 95-17 combination, shall we? More of that coming up. Plus at 2:30, it's Why Today Matters with some really cool birthdays to talk about. Don't move. It's the Horn. All right, let's talk a little underdog fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy football. Longhorn fans, have you heard? Colt McCoy is going to start tonight for the Arizona Cardinals against San Francisco. They are in Mexico City. And for underdog, I'm looking right here. For a pick'em game, how about Colt? 217.5 passing yards. Higher or lower? How about 34.5 passing attempts? Higher or lower? Those are the two I see right now for the kick. You put your pick'em game together. Pick whether your favorite player will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for your chance to win big. Remember, you can win up to 20 times your money in a single game. Pick between 2 and 5 players. Build that pick'em entry. If you get them all right, you win. Also, check out the pick insurance option, which gives you an even better chance to win, because in those cases, you just need 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4, and so on. It's so much fun to play. I've got it on my phone all the time. I'm checking during games. I had a pick'em game built up for Cowboys and Vikings. It didn't end up hitting. It was actually good news as a Cowboys fan, because the stuff I thought Minnesota would do, they didn't do. The Cowboys ended up doing it to them. So sometimes, even when it doesn't work out for you, it can work out for you. Sign up today with the promo code HORN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Check out those pick'em games at Underdog Fantasy. Hour number 3 on a Monday. Hope you're having a good start to your Thanksgiving week. If you're a Longhorn and Cowboys fan, 55 points. 40 points. Had to feel pretty good over the weekend. We've been talking about all of that. Chad and Zay with you on this Monday. Hour 3 starts with Zay's choice for a beat. What do you got, Zay?
I'm from Marcy, son. Jay-Z, where I'm from. Classic.
Not shocked that a Jay-Z beat is very good.
Yeah, we play a lot of Jay-Z on here. I mean,
Yeah,
his beats are, how can we not? He's one of the greatest of all time.
No, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Jay-Z and Dr. Dre would be the first 2 places I would go for really good beats.
Interesting.
I like those 2.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what got me. Not that I don't even know if Bad Boys 2 is a good movie. I just know the beats were incredible. I just know that every scene felt cooler because of those Dre beats. So
I remember Shake Your Tail Feather. I
That's
don't know
one-
if that was a Dre beat.
that's one of the big. I felt like that movie had just Dre beats all the way through. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it was somebody else. But it was just these incredible beats. Like every scene, I thought, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But it just carried the scene really well. I am a fan. Hey, I saw the last Bad Boys. I thought it was pretty solid too.
The third one?
Yeah.
Where Will gets shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, it's been out for like 3
Come on now.
years.
No, I think all 3 of them are good. Unlike some other movies like we talked about earlier where part 3, Beverly Hills Cop, is not good. Don't ever watch it. I would tell you Bad Boys 3 is okay. If you're into the franchise, I would say Bad Boys 3 is all right to check out. Chad and Zay with you on this Monday. Longhorns thrash Kansas. Zay, what out of that game do you think is real, and what out of that game you think kind of needs to be set off to the side? How much of it is cotton candy? How much of it is sort of empty calories? And then how much do you think is legit?
I would say the defense is real. You know, it might have taken them a while to completely figure everything out, but with what we saw against TCU, clearly there was the Tucker Dorsey lapse and the Anthony Cook, Terrence Brooks lapse, but you know, after that, they've been playing solid defense these last 2 weeks. And yes, say what you say about Daniels. Was he 100%? Whatever. The guy on the field didn't produce. And that was a lot because of this defense getting pressure and just figuring everything out. PK, I think he understands his roster and his personnel. And I think they've done a good job of mixing and matching guys, whether guys go out like Deshaun Jameson did last week or whatever. They've been able to move guys around and make them fit. Jalen Gilbo, he hasn't been able to play for a couple of weeks. I asked Joe Cook about Jahdae Barron, who I think might be up for second team All Big 12. I think it'll be tough for him to get first, but I think he's a second team All Big 12 type of player. Jalen Ford had another interception this weekend to add to his first team All Defensive play, which he definitely is going to get that, being Texas leading tackler, and the turnovers that he's forced and also the fumble recoveries that he's had. So going into Baylor on Friday with how run heavy they are, Blake Shapen being up and down like he is, I'm confident in this defense to be able to get some stops that will allow the offense to have opportunities to take advantage and maybe score some points.
Yeah, I'm interested. I think the defense is part of it. That, you know, there's a real feeling to that group, and they've come along. They've developed. By the way, you mentioned Tucker Dorsey. Do you think he needed that targeting?
I think the way that Daniels threw it and just kind of how he allowed his body to get hit like that made it worse than it was. I don't know, man. That was, I think just because it's the quarterback, you got to call it. But you see that hit on a running back or, you know, a wide receiver that's not defenseless. They have the ball in their hands. They see it coming. You don't make that call. That's
a rough one for me because, you know, I'm very sensitive to those calls. Bottom line, I do not want anybody thrown out of a game. I think that rule should be changed, but they're never going to do it. But in that case, man, I'm not sure what to do because that ball is gone. And from one angle, I mean, like the elbow ends up contacting the chest, but man, that shoulder hit him right in the mouth, right in the face mask. And it turned that head. And I don't think he turned the head like the K-State guys were doing it, where they were jerking the head. I think Daniels kind of did that. I almost felt like Sark was saying to Tucker Dorsey, hey, man, I think they're going to throw you out, and we really got to take a look at that in film. You can't. I mean, the ball's gone. It's gone. do whatever you want to. If you need a chest or stomach or what, yeah, I thought it could have been different.
Was it gone that much? I wasn't paying. I'm not gonna lie. I went to the restroom when that play was getting reviewed. Came back, he was gone.
I thought the ball was gone. I thought he had enough time where he couldn't. Ugh.
For somebody to get thrown out of the game, I've never seen anybody that hyped to get thrown out. It was kind of like a message shot. Like, hey, guys, y'all see that? Because everybody was showing him love. He was kind of smiling on the sideline. It was kind of like, hey, guys, I just sent a guy out who was hurt. I'm not saying it was bounty type stuff, but it was like one of those, hey, man, he's going to be thinking about taking hits like that all game for a guy who's not already 100%. I thought that got into his head a little bit and affected his play. And a guy that was already rusty already.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And then the fact that it happened in the first half and you don't lose him for the next game, that's big too. So that's one of the things I never like these targeting calls. I hate that they're throwing them out of games, but at least when it happens in a first half like that of a game where you thrash somebody, it doesn't end up being a big effect. But there was a physicality to that defense. Obviously, somebody texted in, Sorrell is a beast. Excited to see him next year. Yeah, Barron Sorrell. And I mean, it was just everybody was swarming on Saturday, and it was impressive. By the end of the game, those 14 points from Kansas barely felt like they were there. Texas got to play a lot of backups. They got to rest a lot of guys. And 55-14 is the final. Now how much of that is real to come through against Baylor? Zay, I asked Joe Cook when we had him on today from Inside Texas about how important this is to have 8-4 versus 7-5. I think it is monstrous, the difference in these two, because this 8 could lead to 10. You could end up with 10 wins, in theory. Get this one, you end up in the Big 12 title game if Kansas helps you out, and then you could win a bowl game. And that bowl game would be a little bit slotted up if you end up in a Big 12 title game and win it. So best case scenario could get you 10. But even if it just gets you the opportunity at 9 in a bowl game, I think that is big time. Because 9 is my boundary line for, all right, you're a good college football team. You end up with 9 wins, I'll call you a good team. 8, it's a little iffy, right? There's a little, we could have a discussion. I think it's huge, the difference in if they get this game against Baylor and if they don't.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with all these one-score losses that they've had all season long. I mean, think about the 4 losses that the Texas Longhorns have had. They've all been close, whether you say that they should have won it or not. They've been in the game, and it's been frustrating to that point because just with Quinn Ewers in the Oklahoma State game and in TCU, whether Steve Sarkisian could have made an adjustment on taking him out or making the game easier, you just felt like there were opportunities that should have been taken advantage of throughout the season where you shouldn't even have 4 losses. So to me, even though I said they are going to be 8-4 before the season, now with all the games played, even if they beat Baylor, and yes, I think that if they get 9, ask me this question again, and I'll give you a different answer. But if Kansas loses to Kansas State on Saturday, that gets rid of all the Big 12 championship hopes.
Correct.
And that's just going to leave a sour taste in my mouth because that TCU team that's been putting up 40-something points a game, you held them to 17, and you couldn't get that dub. That Alabama team that's been putting up all types of points on all these teams, they put up what? 19, 22?
It was 20-19.
20-19.
20. Yeah.
And
you couldn't find 21?
You couldn't find 21. Yeah. Then that Texas Tech game, look at Texas Tech and what they've been, how they've been a roller coaster for Coach McGuire's team. And then, it's just that's Oklahoma State. They got blasted by Oklahoma. So all of those games, you feel like you should have won. And you look at this talent ain't 8-4. This talent, in a way, is 10-0 or 11-0, whatever you could be at the end of the season, undefeated. And that's just kind of what the what-ifs are going to be going into the offseason with a roster that isn't going to be as good. When you got Bijan Robinson most likely leaving, Demarion Overshown, he's leaving because he's already in the Reese's Senior Bowl. Roschon Johnson, we know how much Steve Sarkisian loves him. We know how much he's meant to this program on leadership. He's going to be leaving. So who's going to be able to replace those guys? I don't know if the talent will be there next year. Yes, you got Arch Manning and all these recruits coming in, but guys playing for the 2023 season, will the talent be as good as 2022? I can't say that, and the schedule's going to be just as hard. So I think there were a lot of missed opportunities this year, but with everything that could happen, it could change, and you can somehow finesse 10 wins out of it.
Somebody hit us up on the Specs text line, 337-3776. Female listener number 17 says, glad we won, but even more frustrated that Bijan didn't get the ball more in the second half of the TCU game. Ugh. Kind of echoing some of the things you're saying there, Zay. Even really win or lose against Baylor. If you lose the Baylor game, it's just going to shine a spotlight on what could have been. But even if you get that win, you're saying there's still going to be some of that what could have been for this season. Even if you're ended up with that 8-4, and if it turns into 9-4, maybe even 10, you're still going to have some what could have been.
Yeah, because what we saw against Kansas, in the game that Bijan Robinson had, the best one of his career statistically, why wasn't that the vocal point all season long? I know Steve Sarkisian believes in Quinn Ewers, and I know he's a quarterback, but hey, when your best player is your running back and your best formula for success is running the football, and the games that you lost was because your quarterback had way too many attempts and way too many mistakes, that hurts. That hurts, because that's the what if factor. What if you would have given them, to what female listener was saying, what if you would have given him more touches, and just said, hey, what if he could just break one? He's that elusive. He's that nice with the ball in his hands, even though Sonny Dykes and that crew were stacking the box. If he makes one guy miss, look out, because those guys are all up close and playing tight. And then also just making the game easier for Quinn. There's just so many what-ifs at the end of the season that we're going to have going into 2023, whether their record 7-5, 8-4, win 10 games, etc. I still think there's going to be some questions there.
So here's somebody that loves both fan bases and tries to bring it together, saying, Chad, how about this? Cowboys drop Zeke and his ridiculous contract, re-sign Pollard to a more reasonable contract, then draft Bijan. Seeing some Longhorn fans trying to figure out if they can get a way to get Bijan Robinson into the silver and blue of the Cowboys. Yes, somebody says the less than 3 yards a rush is real at TCU or against TCU. This says they could be 9-3, like Bucky said this morning. LOL. That's right, they could. But with a win here, would be 8-4 ultimately. If they could get the win against Baylor, it'd be a huge, huge difference. And we're continuing to talk Texas. We're talking Cowboys after they won 40-3. Also, keeping you updated on the U.S. national team. They are still up 1-0. They're into the second half now. That was a 36-minute goal. Timothy Weah with the goal earlier. There have been some yellow cards on both sides. Both teams have had 2 yellow cards handed out. But right now it is 58th minute. U.S. up 1-0 over Wales. And remember, we're going to have those World Cup reports for you from our man Glenn Davis. Soccer Matters this week moves to Wednesday night at 8 because of the men's basketball game tonight. 7:30 tip for Texas and Northern Arizona. So Cowboys get the win. Texas, and of course, just like every other Thanksgiving week, you got short weeks for both. Cowboys go on Thanksgiving against the Giants. How about the Giants losing yesterday?
Dan Campbell, what's up? That's the only thing positive A&M has going right now is Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions.
How about my Aggie brother helping out the Cowboys yesterday, huh? Come on. Lions just went up and down the field on the New York Giants. That was fun to watch. Cowboys get that bit of help, but now let's see if they can go head up with a division opponent at home. They've already beaten the Giants one time. They're 2-1 in division. Can they keep up there? And then, of course, Longhorns taking on Baylor. It's weird mirror images here. These are very familiar, the two teams they're about to face, obviously, and they're both getting that home game on Thanksgiving week. Short week. Schedules are different. In one case, Texas may have to deal with a little bit of cold, rainy weather. Cowboys obviously will have everything temperature controlled, but in both cases, I'm trying to figure it out. How much of what we saw is real? I think anybody watching the Cowboys do that to the Vikings and trying to make more out of it than it was. I think that might be a little bit premature. I loved a lot of what I saw as a fan. Don't get me wrong, but it just everything went the Cowboys' way. When it all goes your way like that, don't you have to know on some level that that's not sustainable? Every team's not going to play that bad.
No, this is the National Football League. It's week to week for a reason, but you got to be optimistic and hype about what's next with the Cowboys because you just beat a really good team that's going to make the playoffs. So that's maybe a team that you might see, and you have the mental psyche over them that, hey, we just beat y'all's ass at y'all's home stadium.
Yeah.
I don't care. Y'all are coming off of that emotional high in Buffalo. It don't matter. Y'all had us this week. They had players on their team basically guaranteeing that they were going to win the game, talking about before the game, oh, I feel 9-1 this week. Well, the Cowboys came to play, and hey, if Dak Prescott gets under 30 attempts, you're saying 40, I'm saying 30. If he gets under 30 attempts,
yeah,
then that's how you win games with the boys. Give Tony Pollard the ball, and he will reward you. He had a terrific game. Only had 15 touches on the ground, but the 6 touches through the air, 109 yards passing. That beautiful touchdown on my guy Jordan Hicks. That was brutal, Jordan Hicks. Texas alum. They took advantage of that mismatch. Shout out to Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy, and Dak put that one on the money. And yeah, that was just a blowout win. Very impressed.
6 targets, 6 catches for Tony Pollard. So you all right with 15 and 15 on the carries for Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott?
Yes.
Good with that?
Yes, perfect. Zeke in the red zone. Tony Pollard, get it up the field. I'm with that.
Good with Ezekiel Elliott on first down, and then Pollard comes in on second down on a drive. You all right there? You good with that?
Let's have a feel for the game.
Okay.
I mean, I think it depends. In this game, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like it should change every week to week.
The way it played out, obviously you're going to have nothing but good things to say, but we know every week's not going to be 40-3, but the Cowboys got it done. That was the biggest margin of victory they have ever had in a road game. Ever. History of the franchise. They'd had a couple
with them 90s teams.
Yeah, they'd had a couple of 35s, but they had never had something that got up to 37. First time.
Yeah. Shout out to Trayvon Diggs, too. I know the Cowboys were getting a lot of pressure on Kirk Cousins with the 7 sacks and all, which had a lot to do with Trayvon Diggs' success guarding Justin Jefferson. But we just talked about last week, Chad, how Justin Jefferson needs to be considered as one of the best wide receivers in the league. We saw the amazing catch that he had in Buffalo on the 4th and 18, and Trayvon Diggs put him on clamps, put him on absolute lockdown. And, I love games within the games. Like Trayvon Diggs, him and Patrick Peterson had a jersey swap after the game.
Is that right?
And Trayvon Diggs said, hey, this is the GOAT right here. This guy made me want to play cornerback.
Wow.
Because, he was a wide receiver at first, but looking up to guys like Patrick Peterson, who was also an SEC player in LSU, Trayvon Diggs being a Bama guy, I think he wanted to show the guy that he looked up to, hey, man, I know you might be a Pro Bowler, who knows, with the PED situation that he had in Arizona. But without that, Patrick Peterson, he's like an 8-time Pro Bowl guy. Like, he was on his way to Canton. So, I like guys that look up to other guys that are vets and have big games, playing against those other guys' teams like Trayvon Diggs did yesterday against the Vikings.
It was big time, man. Justin Jefferson, only 3 catches for 33 yards at the end of the game. No touchdowns. The Vikings obviously had no touchdowns at all as a team. Man, incredible stuff. We'll see how much the Longhorns and Cowboys can transition those wins into the Thanksgiving week games they've got coming up. We'll be hitting you up on that today through Wednesday. We don't have shows on Thursday or Friday because we're dealing with all the game stuff. Cowboys on Thursday, Longhorn game early on Friday, but we got shows for you through Wednesday. So stay with us all week. Ball Don't Lie is coming up. We'll get you set up for the evening. Also, Why Today Matters, November 21st. We got a couple of big birthdays to hit, including a monster birthday if you're a Texas basketball fan. Don't move. It's The Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk a little Twin Peaks. I told you, Cowboys fans, to get out to Twin Peaks because they're doing the jersey giveaways. That's right, those epic jersey giveaways. They've been doing it throughout the season. They've been doing it all season long, and what a day it must have been out at your favorite Twin Peaks. Get on out there for the jersey giveaways throughout the season. Now, they are closed on Thanksgiving. You should know that. They're going to take the day to give thanks for everything that they've got going on, and they want you to do the same. But be sure you come back on Black Friday because they've got the Black Friday lingerie party for you and so much more. Get on out to Twin Peaks. You can score all kinds of free stuff by signing up with their e-club. If you haven't done that, check out twinpeaksrestaurant.com/Peaks Club to get started there. And again, Cowboys fans, throughout the season, get on out there. Ask your Twin Peaks girl about that epic jersey giveaway. Once we get past that Thanksgiving game, they will get that cranked up again. Go find your favorite location. Have a good time with that scratch-made food, the 29-degree draft brews as well. Step up your lunch game with the great lunch combos. Try those flatbreads I've been talking about. It's always a good time at Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views, Stastny, San Marcos, and Round Rock. TwinPeaksRestaurant.com. Rolling through a Monday. It is wet and cold outside. Please be careful. It's going to kind of be like this throughout the week. I think we're going to get a wet and dreary Thanksgiving. So get people around you that you actually like. You may need it with this weather. Zay, what do you got here?
No guess?
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Let him sing a little bit. No, I don't have it.
I'm saying, yo, if you would have got this,
I don't have it.
Big Mama would have made you a own personal sweet potato pie
So close.
for you to take home.
Who is it?
Frankie Beverly and Mace.
Oh, yeah, no, that wasn't happening. Frankie, say it again.
Frankie Beverly and Mace.
Frankie-
So Mace is the group. Frankie Beverly is like one dude.
And Mace. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I want to say he's the one singing, but I don't know for
Ooh.
sure.
It's a great voice. Great voice. Frankie Beverly and Mace to go with, believe it or not, Cannibal Corpse, the Axel F song from Faltermeyer, The Arrows, and NKOTB. Yes, that's right. It all started with New Kids on the Block today. We threw a Jay-Z beat in there to start the third hour. And Zay, as always, taking us all over with the musical journey. We are keeping you.
Shout out to my man Carlos who requested that one. He was like, yo, Zay,
Okay.
that Cannibal's course was a little intense. Let's mellow it back down. Can you mellow it back down for me? Carlos, I got you. Appreciate it, man. You got good taste.
That'd be a weird date if you're trying to get, you're trying to get the mood set right. You go from Cannibal Corpse to Frankie Beverly and Mace. Calm it down just a little bit. The U.S. soccer team, they're not calming it down. They are still hanging on to that 1-0 lead. We're into the 72nd minute now. U.S. up 1-0 on Wales. Get you one more update before we are out of here. Tonight, a little bit of a different schedule for you. We do have Rod and Hards coming up. Don't worry. Ball Don't Lie fans. They are coming up, breaking down Texas whipping Kansas, Cowboys whipping the Vikings. I know Mike Hards has a big smile on his face today because of that. Can't wait to hear about it. Also, if I'm not mistaken, our man Glenn Davis is going to jump on from Soccer Matters. He's going to jump on with the guys about 3:30 to review this U.S. game. Hopefully it's a U.S. win as they're up 1-0 right now. Then at 7 o'clock, pregame time for Texas basketball. They'll play Northern Arizona tonight down in Edinburgh. Also, if you're a women's basketball fan, they are in the Bahamas trying to find a win. 6:30 is the scheduled tip time, although I'm being told one of those games went overtime today, so it may go a little later than that. Right now, we're scheduled for a 6:15 pregame, 6:30 tip on 105.3 The Bat. Keep it, check in over there, and Roger Wallace and Kathy and the crew will keep you updated on exactly when they will start. Hopefully, Coach Schaefer's team can find a win in the Bahamas against Rutgers. All that is coming up. Obviously, a lot of football that we're hitting. Oh, by the way, you want a little Longhorn angle? How about Colt McCoy on Monday Night Football tonight? Oh, Zay. Now, I've been able to root for Colt McCoy a couple times in my life. Most Aggies can't say that. But this Cowboys fan always is looking for a Niners loss. So come on, Colt McCoy. Can I get a victory tonight?
Yeah, I'm rooting for Colt too. I mean, the Niners, they're trying to make that run to the playoffs with the big-time trade of Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel's getting more and more healthy every week. George Kittle had an interesting say last week about the touches that he's getting. He was like, I wish I got more touches, but I'm a team guy, and it's all about the team. So I thought that was interesting that they asked him that because he is an overall big-time tight end that you wouldn't think we worried about touches, which he's not. But when you got Jimmy G, it's not like he's Joe Montana. There's limited touches for everybody to go around. But the fact that they have all those weapons, Brandon Ayuk, that's why they're the 8-point favorite tonight. Let's see if Colt McCoy could make something happen with the Arizona Cardinals.
Right now, the Niners are the 7 seed in the NFC, and they would go to Minnesota for the 7-2 game. You think the Niners could do to Minnesota what the Cowboys just did?
Maybe not like that, but I think they could beat them.
But it could be something like that. Yeah, you're right.
There's something about Kirk Cousins in prime time. And people are like, oh, Zay, yesterday wasn't prime time. Anytime you play the Dallas Cowboys, it's prime time.
If you play the Dallas Cowboys in that 325 window, that's prime time.
Yeah.
If you play the Packers, Cowboys, prime time window, you play Tom Brady in that window, that's prime time.
Well, just with the fan base, because all the eyes are watching. Yeah. That's why even noon, 1 o'clock kickoffs, that's prime time. And in Kirk Cousins' case, because he has such a prime time record, I think that had a little bit to do with it yesterday, too.
Yeah, and another thing, I know it's one little part of it, but man, when that left tackle went out of the game, Micah Parsons started eating the backup left tackle alive. They couldn't do a thing to that Cowboys defensive line, probably anyway. But once he went out, they really had a tough time. Obviously, that's been a big part of the discussion today as well. Let's go why today matters. We'll hit big birthdays, and I want to get Zay's thoughts on this big Texas basketball recruit as well. All right, I got two big Longhorn-related birthdays for you today. First off, rest in peace, but everybody always has a smile on their face when we mention him. Today would have been the 100th birthday of the legendary Abe Lemons. Everybody who knew him has the story. Every Texas basketball fan at least kind of knows what he represents to Texas. Happy birthday to the coach. He left us back in 2002, Zay, way too early, but Abe Lemons would have been 100 today. How about that?
Yeah, big part of Texas basketball. Where was he before? Because they had the Abe's Lemons Classic last year. Are they doing that again?
They are.
Which Chris Beard does a great job of honoring the previous coaches before him.
He really does. I think they're doing that. I think they are. Well, no, you know what? This year, I want to say when they come back for that Gregory game, aren't they doing something for Coach Black for that? Isn't that the?
Yeah, because didn't Coach Black have some type of?
I think they're honoring
Pan Am ties.
They're honoring different coaches or whatever. The answer, Pan Am is the answer for Lemons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Abe Lemons was at Pan Am before Texas.
So is that so? The tribute is maybe for him tonight.
Maybe they're doing
going up there.
Yeah, maybe
to
that's
the
what
valley.
Okay, maybe that's what it is too. Yeah, Beard's all about paying tribute to the past coaches. So
he's really good at that.
This may be him giving Coach Lemon some love. You're absolutely right. So, Zay, while we're there, tell me a little bit about what do you know about this A.J. Johnson get for Texas, 6'6" guard, picks Texas over Louisville, LSU, NC State, Kansas, Tennessee, USC, and G League Ignite. I love that they put that in the list.
Yeah, you got to put that because that's where Big Bro went instead of going the college route. His big brother is Jalen Green, starting shooting guard for the Houston Rockets, former number 2 pick. So he has good genes. And Jalen Green was on a recruiting visit with him to the 40 acres. So I think the fact that Big Bro is right up the road in Houston, so where they could see each other a lot more frequently, him being a Southern Cal kid, that definitely helped. And plus Chris Beard, Coach Terry, Rodney Terry, they just do a really good job at recruiting. You know, this guy saw what happened at the Gonzaga game and how live that atmosphere was. And he said that in one of his comments that the city of Austin is lit and he can't wait to get down here. So 6'5" guard, tall, lanky, athletics, definitely going to have to put on some more weight to really produce on the collegiate level. But this is exactly the type of guys that Chris Beard wants. Just kind of like Steve Sarkisian, how he wants that big time, bigger corner over 6 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Beard wants bigger guards, bigger wings, that 6'6", 6'5" wing that could do multiple things, could play point guard at times. He's a pretty good ball handler for being at that height. But if you add somebody like Ron Holland, who's around 6'9", super athletic, those are 2 really big time gets for this whole Texas organization and this coaching staff. So yeah, shout out to AJ Johnson, LA kid coming down to the 40.
Yeah, kid's had a wild path too. He was at the Kanye Academy. And
he was at Donna?
And then changed. Yeah.
Yeah, smart move.
And got out after some of the, it's weird, kind of a weird path there. But that's very cool. A.J. Johnson making the choice. I've seen that name all over the place since he made the choice. That's a big one, Longhorn fans. Many people think for that class, it was the best guy available at that moment, and he ends up picking Texas. That is huge. Another big Longhorn birthday today. Justin Tucker is 33. We're about to come up on the anniversary of that kick, and Chris Bennett's going to send me and any Aggie that'll see it that kick and that video.
CB's so petty. I love it.
But my man is up to 65 field goals in a row in the fourth quarter or overtime. He hit another one of those over the weekend. Justin Tucker, 65 in a row in the fourth quarter or overtime, and second place on that list. Second place is 14. Think about that for a second.
Wow.
14. That's nuts.
Who is that?
It's who did I see? It's somebody that's active right now.
Okay.
That's hit 14 in a row.
Okay.
I can't think exactly who it was. I think it's the kid is it the Cincinnati guy? Can't remember. One of those. But
yeah,
a name you know if you saw it. I can't remember who it was right now. But yeah, Justin Tucker, man. It's just, I'm telling you, if you're a Longhorn fan, you might have the greatest kicker ever now.
Yeah, the NFL and Canton, they just need to start scoping out his head right now.
Yeah.
Like, why waste your time?
I know.
Like, why, you already know he's going to make it. He's the greatest kicker of all time in my eyes, bias or not. I think he's the greatest, and then Vinatieri is right behind him.
Yeah.
But as accurate as he is, I remember that stat on that long field goal that he had recently that if the field goal markers were like, what?
A half a
yard wide. He would have still knocked it down. Like, his accuracy is ridiculous, and he's just a great guy. I mean, when he practices, he'll hit up people on Twitter and be like, "Hey, I'll be at so-and-so high school today working on my game. I need people out there to help me retrieve these kicks and bring them back to me." And people will go out there and catch kicks for him in the back of the end zone behind the field goal post because he's just that cool of a guy. He just includes people. So, you know me, I'm not going to give a Westlaker that much love, but Justin Tucker deserves every bit of it. And yeah, he's the GOAT for a reason.
He is a beast, 33 years old today. And yes, back in 2011, he hit a pretty big kick. Can't believe we're coming up on 11 years since that game happened.
Wow.
Can we please get those two teams back out on the field together? My God, when's it going to happen, SEC? Let us know. Troy Aikman's got a birthday today. Happy 56 to old number 8. And yesterday, the president turned 80. That makes me feel a little bit positive that if as I continue to grow old, I can still do stuff I want. The president of the United States just turned 80 years old. Jerry's 80 and running one of the craziest teams on the face of the earth. Oh.
This dude's running the world or running the U.S.
That is crazy, man. 80 years old. All right. Go right ahead there, Joe Biden. All right. There's why today matters to us on November the 21st with a little bit of the 20th thrown in. Stems and Seeds coming up. We'll get you another update on the U.S. soccer game. Uh-oh. Something happened that you're not going to like. We'll tell you about it on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk Apple Leasing. I love my new car from Apple Leasing, and you'll love yours as well. Any make, any model, any car, any truck, whatever you're looking for. Just call them up, let them know. Maybe it's time for a Christmas gift for you or your wife or your husband or your brother or your daughter, son. As I've said, maybe you got a kid going off to school next spring, and you want to make sure they're in a good, reliable car. With Apple Leasing, you're going to make sure you are paying for the part of the car that you're using. That's why the leasing system makes sense anyway. But now, leasing makes even more sense than it ever has. Call them up. Talk to them about it. Ask all your questions. Trust me, I had them. I'm me. I'm OCD. I'm into all the details. I had all kinds of questions. They answered all of them, and the Easy Lease system was certainly right for me. I think it'll be right for you, too. Easiest and safest way to get a new car. Just call them at 346-9977. I called that number. I talked to Beth. 2 or 3 conversations later, we had it all set up, and they delivered that car right to my driveway. They'll do that for you and drive away the trade-in if that's what you need them to do. 346-9977. That's 346-9977, or go to appleleasing.com. All right, rounding it out on a Monday. Heard two different voices there. There's a male voice coming in, but I feel we're focused on the female here, right? Individual or a group?
Individual. She was in the group at one point in time.
Wasn't a group at one point.
Don't think too hard.
It's not Beyonce, is it?
There we go.
Is it Beyonce? Okay.
It's Beyonce.
It's the first thing I thought of, and then it sounded like it was headed another way. Okay, all right. Just got to go with the gut sometimes. All right.
Yeah. This might be her prom date. Who she's talking about here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Whoever did Beyonce wrong before Hove. Wow.
Ooh. Yeah. He's been through some therapy. No doubt. He's been through some therapy.
I hope so.
The man who could have done right by Beyonce at prom and then failed. That is rough. Beyonce, Frankie Beverly and Mace, Cannibal Corpse. Nope, not kidding. Axel F by Faltermeyer. Harold Faltermeyer, I think is the artist there. The Arrows and New Kids on the Block. It's all been a part of a crazy Monday show. If you missed the Steve Sarkisian press conference, good lighthearted press conference today. People were complimenting clothing. They were complimenting Sark's clothes as he walked up after 55-14. What would you expect? If you want to check it out, it's at hornfm.com.
He was making the crowd laugh and
stuff.
stuff.
There was laughter going on. I heard Ed Clements referencing going from double XL to XL. It was weird. It was a positive day. Everybody was in a good mood. 55-14 will do that to you. We've hit that today. Cowboys win big. If you're a Cowboys fan, you got to love it. In fact, I'll tell you real quick, here was the extra good part. Once that game got to like 30-3, I'm sitting there with my wife who's a Steelers fan, and that Steelers-Bengals game is only on Red Zone at the time. So I thought, well, we'll have it on Red Zone more because now we don't have to focus on the Cowboys. 4-touchdown lead. We'll just kind of let that one simmer. So as I'm saying that to her, I thought I was being nice, Zay. She took it as a huge insult, like, oh, yeah, smart ass. What are you saying? And I thought, oh, wow, I get to enjoy it on another level now because my wife was pissy about the fact that I was putting it on Red Zone because her Steelers were in a close game.
Yeah.
I thought I was being nice.
And unfortunately, Mike Tomlin's crew takes another L.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Heartbreaking.
Yeah. Najee Harris looked good, though, finally. He had the bounce back.
He was all right.
Bounce back game, I mean.
How about that touchdown jump of his? You see that run where he hurdled over the guy?
It'll show flashes.
Oh, dude, that was awesome.
It'll show flashes.
That was a great play. And George Pickens, he's all he does is make great catches on the sideline. That dude's incredible. The catches he comes up with.
They find these wide receivers.
Man.
I don't know how they do it, but they're really good at scouting wide receivers. And, yeah, he was a steal.
Also, shout out to Cole Kmet, the kid who went to Notre Dame, that tight end, catching that ball one-handed yesterday while getting his ribs taken out. You see that one?
Yeah.
Wow, what a catch that was. All right, and we'll continue to clean up pro and college football tomorrow, but we got a short week, so we got to cram a lot of things in. Let's go stems and seeds right now. Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Again, it's Colt McCoy tonight for Arizona. They are 4-6. They're like in the 11 spot right now in the NFC. They're just trying to claw their way back. San Francisco's the 7 seed right now. Huge opportunity for them, and nobody's a true home team here. Remember, this is the Mexico City game, so let's see what happens. Also, check that field condition. Remember the time they went to Mexico City, and it went absolutely nuts in terms of the surface? Hopefully they've got it figured out tonight. Colt McCoy starting for Arizona. Also, a couple of kind of bad news stuff out of college football. We'll send the best to Hendon Hooker. I hated seeing that, Zay. They're going to lose. They're going to lose anyway. South Carolina was better. Shout out to Rattler, but I hated seeing Hooker get hurt like that.
Yeah, that was rough, and that game was crazy, but he's had a hell of a season. He's been up for Heisman talks for majority of the weeks, and yeah, it hurts to see him go out like that.
Yeah, Hendon Hooker, torn ACL. He is out for the rest of the year. But some good news. How about this? Mike Hollins, the running back for Virginia, that one of the guys that was shot and went back into that bus to try to save people and make sure people were all right. He's left the hospital today. Thank goodness, man.
Wow.
He's going to be all right, and they think that the young lady that was shot is also going to be okay. Obviously, they're all still thinking of those 3 players. They had the service over the weekend, but some silver linings coming out of it. Mike Hollins, a name that Virginia people will hold in high regard for a while. It's a brave young man, Zay. Got shot in the back, bullet lodged in his stomach. He still went back in the bus to try to help people.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I'm glad he's doing all right. And shout out to the Commanders. I saw them pay tribute to those 3 players that were lost in
Yep.
Virginia and putting those guys' numbers on their helmets.
Yeah, a lot of stickers around the country I saw. All from everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody was throwing the Virginia sticker on the back of their helmet. Yeah, that's an amazing story. And, so shout out to Mike Hollins. I'm glad he's going to be okay. That new AP poll, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. Tomorrow, there'll be another CFP rankings. You would assume the top 4 stays put. But how about USC's opportunity now? Beat UCLA in the rival game. They move up a notch. LSU moves up to number 6 in the AP. They're lurking. What if they can go beat Georgia in the SEC title game? Could they really mess with things? Up next, it's Rod and Harge. Ball don't lie. Texas basketball tonight, 7:30 tip for Texas and Northern Arizona. And remember, the women are going to be over on 105.3 The Bat against Rutgers, trying to find a win in Atlantis there in the Bahamas. Hope you have a good rest of your Monday. Also, I didn't update you on the soccer. I'm sorry. Wales scored a goal in the 82nd minute. They're in extra time, 1-1. Oh, mercy. See ya.